He said, what you see in the light is exactly what who people are in the dark.
There's two sides of pain that I don't think a lot of people really understand, right? There's one side of pain that's the suffering and the discomfort side of pain. Because that hurts. You remember what that felt like. But then there's another side of pain that's called effort. It's called glory. It's called, if you can find a way to push through pain, there's something greater on the other side of it. And if you never tap into it, it's because the first time you felt it, you backed off. The first time you felt, that burn, the first time you felt that it's too much. And we rationalize with ourselves to where we automatically stop.
And as human beings, failure is not a bad thing. Ask yourself, what's the opportunity from the failure, and get in the game, because when you get to the last hour of your last day, it will not be the failures you regret, it'll be all the risks you didn't take.
That's why a bunch of us give up so much in life so quickly. But suppose I told you the greatest pain of my life is the reason I'm standing here today.
You cannot get to the mountaintop without taking a few missteps.
The greatest pain of my life is the reason I'm standing here today. And when I fell, I remember laying on the ground. And I said, Lou, ain't nobody out here gonna help you get up. What makes you get up when you fall down? What makes your mentality change if there's a great situation or there's a bad situation? How do you dictate that based off the level of pain? They done wrote me off. I said, I might as well pack it up. That many people got control over what I do from this point forward, going forward. That many people can tell me.
I believe that's the single most important element that separates the quality of people's lives. It's not just the ability to have hunger, but to sustain it. Hunger means that you want more. You want more of yourself. You want to make a bigger difference. The one thing they all have in common, I think, is they're hungry. Most people start out with hunger at an early stage of life and they lose it. But the people that come to me are hungry either because something's happened. I think everybody is born with hunger. Like there's a desire to grow, to expand, to learn, and then disappointment sets in early in life for most people. And then we look to blame something outside of ourselves. And there are many events in our lives that can affect us all. We've all had pain and challenges. If you can find within yourself the part of you that wants to constantly give something more than yourself, if you can find a mission larger than yourself, then you're more pulled to do something than trying to push yourself.
Didn't have enough strength. And I sat there for 30 minutes until I made up in my mind, stop crying. Just grab the bar. See, sometimes we think the pain is what controls us. It's actually our subconscious mind. That's what dictates most of our lives. That if you can find a way to push through, that if you can find a way to not make it about you. Learn to appreciate the occasional storms that come in your life. Just learn to appreciate how small they are, the occasional storms that come every day. And then that's the ingredient. Pain is a repetition of the cycle. Until you learn how to figure it out, until you learn how to tap it on the back and say, I know you there, but I'm built to deal with you. I don't want nobody to leave here today and not understand why we must find a way to push through pain to understand that's on the other side of that is glory. I realized that I turned my greatest pain into my greatest achievement. A lot of kids don't until it's too late. Mm-hmm. The one thing I watched the most in my career was wasted talent, to where it's almost scary that people will throw away opportunities like that.
See, if you're playing it safe, you're not going to win. If you're playing it safe, it's by trying things that you figure out how far you can go. You got to get outside the box.
There's two sides of pain that I don't think a lot of people really understand, right? There's one side of pain that's the suffering and the discomfort side of pain. You remember what that felt like. But then there's another side of pain that's called effort. It's called glory. It's called, if you can find a way to push through pain, there's something greater on the other side of it. Didn't have enough strength. And I sat there for 30 minutes until I made up in my mind, Stop crying.
You can either live your dreams or live your fears. And I think the majority of people actually are not living their dreams, but are living their fears. So I want to ask you a question. What are your fears? What are you afraid of? What are you scared of? Because we all have fears, don't we? We all have something that's blocking us, that's holding us back. And as we begin to look at life, what we realize is that the reason that most people are not living out their true potential, are not doing all of the things that they would really like to do, is because of fear. Some people call fear false evidence or expectations appearing real.
Everything's normal. So you fly and you go up, you go up, you go up, you go up to 14,000 feet. And you notice there's a light. It's red and it's yellow and green, right? So right now the light's red. So then you start thinking at some point the light's going to go green, but you don't know what's going to happen.
If you want to be successful, here's the thing you have to do. You have to jump. There is no way around it. You have to jump. Every successful person has jumped. You got to jump. You got to take a leap of faith.
And it goes yellow, and the light goes green, and somebody opens the door.
I want to tell you something that every successful person has to do, including you. Believe it or not, every successful person in this world has jumped.
And your toes are on the edge, and you're looking out down to death. They say on 3, and they say 1, 2. The problem with fear is that it lies. And in 1 second, you realize that it's the most blissful experience of your life. You're flying. There's zero fear. You realize that the point of maximum danger is the point of minimum fear. Why were you scared in your bed the night before? What do you need that fear for? Just don't go. Why are you scared in your bed 16 hours before you jump? Why are you scared in the car? Why could you not enjoy breakfast? Fear of what? You're nowhere even near the airplane. Everything's up to the stepping out. There's actually no reason to be scared. It only just ruins your day. The choice of trying to go forward versus clinging and climb backwards, you know. So I do want to aggressively go forward and do new things and create and hopefully be able to stumble upon a new heyday. I'm telling you, the confrontation with fear is an absolute magical way of facing the things we have to do in this life. You know, forget security, live for experience.
You are going to have to jump. You cannot just exist in this life. You have got to try to live. If you are waking up thinking that there's got to be more to your life than it is, man, believe that it is. Believe in your heart of hearts that it is. But to get to that life, you're going to have to jump.
Good people have to get out of the bed every day and try to empty the ocean with a ladle.
One summer, his dad tore down a brick wall on the front of his business and told 12-year-old Will and his 9-year-old brother to rebuild it, a job they said was impossible. It took them a year and a half, but they didn't.
And he said, now don't you ever tell me it's something that you can't do.
You don't try to build a wall. You don't set out to build a wall. You don't say, I'm going to build the biggest, baddest, greatest wall that's ever been built. You don't start there. You say, I'm going to lay this brick as perfectly as a brick can be laid. And you do that every single day, and soon you have a wall.
What are the things that you feel that's been keeping you from living your dream? That's been keeping you from doing some things that you would like to do? Just think about those things. You must be willing to go forward and face your fears again and again and again. It's perfectly fine to have some fears. You acknowledge your fears, you embrace those fears, and then you move on.
I gotten probably 2 weeks into my preparation for the film, and my father was diagnosed with cancer. You know, first it stunned me, and I was, forced to face, my father's mortality.
He decided for whatever reason that he wanted a new wall on the front of his shop. So he tore down probably about 16 feet high and probably about 30 feet long. He just completely tore. A year and a half. We were building this wall for a year and a half. Every day after school, we were coming, mixing concrete, putting it in the hole, doing it, and it was just myself and my little brother. A year and a half later, we laid the final brick. And my father stood back and he looked at me and my brother and said, don't y'all never tell me that you can't do something.
You can either live your dreams or live your fears. And I think the majority of people actually are not living their dreams, but are living their fears. So I want to ask you a question. What are your fears? What are you afraid of? What are you scared of? Because we all have fears, don't we? We all have something that's blocking us, that's holding us back. And as we begin to look at life, what we realize is that the reason that most people are not living out their true potential, are not doing all of the things that they would really like to do, is because of fear. Some people call fear false evidence or expectations appearing real.
was 4 years old, so I just remember after the crash, when I was out the car without my legs and a lot of blood, and today it's a part of my life. When I was young, when I tried to run, to beat the normal friends, to swim without my legs, with my arms. I did it, never give up, work for what you want.
No excuses. No victim mentality. The world owes you nothing.
You know, when situations come, whether you lose a loved one, whether you didn't pass, you know, a class, so you have to sit out, you know, for 4 or 6 games. You got evicted from, you know, your house, or, you know, you don't have anything to eat. Whatever the situation is, if you look at that and you say, what can I do to make this better? How can I climb out of this hole that I'm in? There's so many different, you know, routes that you might have to take. And some of them might be quicker than others. Or are you going to endure? Can you endure through the storm to be able to reap the reward? And that's what it boils down to. And if you're able to do that constantly, you know, then you will be successful.
And I fight with everything I've got to overcome those weaknesses and those shortfalls and those flaws, as I strive to be just a little bit better today than I was yesterday.
The world might come help you, but I wouldn't count on it. If you start from the feeling that you need the world to participate in order for you to be successful at taking on this new thing that you're considering doing, you're right to be scared. But if you start from the perspective that the world owes you nothing, which it doesn't, and that it is not likely to bring you any particular help, you have nothing to lose.
My friends, there are a million reasons why not, but there's one great reason why, which is you've just got to persevere, no matter what it is. Don't get it twisted. This is hard. Every day is hard. And if you don't have the stomach to weather the storm, you will not be successful.
I don't have an excuse. Like my leg hurts, or my arm hurts, or something happened, the coach was unfair, whatever, you know, the referee was unfair. And what happens with people is we tend to go out into the world and we look for those sort of excuses about why things aren't the way we want them.
I just remember after the crash, when I was out the car without my legs and a lot of blood.
No excuses, my friends.
I go to the one gym session to try, and I love it.
No excuses. No victim mentality. The world owes you nothing.
And today, it's a part of my life. I never, more than 10 years now, I never left the gym. Never give up, work for what you want.
And it doesn't matter how you get knocked down in life, because that's going to happen. All that matters is that you got to get up.
I think the biggest obstacle to success is a lack of optimism.
The weights out in the gym, they're not going to move themselves. You have to do it, and you have to do it now.
You know, we need to get more people to be able to get hit with, get rocked and shook with adversity, no matter what the situation.
And we look for those sort of excuses about why things aren't the way we want them. And when you do that, you lose all your power in life. When you start focusing on the external, on the excuses, you lose your power. People will respect you for going out there and trying your hardest. It's not how you actually perform that earns you the respect of your peers. It's the fact that you went out and actually did it. That's the difference.
You know, you see so many people fail in life in accomplishing their goals because adversity hits and knock them down, and they stay down. We need them to be able to get back up and keep pressing forward until they see and accomplish, you know, what they have set forth for themselves. I don't know, you take the good with the bad, and you know, you react to it in a positive way. You just keep pressing forward. That's, you know, ultimately what you have to do.
A dream like this seems kind of vaguely ludicrous and completely unattainable. But this moment is directly connected to those childhood imaginings. And for anybody who's on the downside of advantage and relying purely on courage, it's possible.
It's so often the easy path that calls to us, to be weak for that moment, to break down for that moment, to give in to the desire and the short-term gratification. Person's strengths are often their biggest weaknesses. And so that also means that their weaknesses can be their strengths. So, me, I am weak. In all those ways that I listed, I am weak, but I don't accept that. I don't accept that I am what I am and that is what I'm doomed to be. No, I don't accept that. I'm fighting. I'm always fighting. I'm struggling and I'm scrapping. And I'm kicking and clawing at those weaknesses to change them, to stop them. Some days I win. Some days I don't. But each and every day, I get back up and I move forward with my fist clenched toward the battle, toward the struggle. Here and now. That's it. You want to improve? You want to get better? You want to get on a workout program or a clean diet? You want to start a business? You want to write a book or make a movie or build a house or a computer or put together some mobile application? Where do you start? You start right here. And when do you start? You start right now. You initiate an action aggressively. You go. Because the idea isn't going to execute itself. And the book isn't going to write itself. And the weights out in the gym, they're not going to move themselves. You have to do it, and you have to do it now. And that means you got to stop thinking about it and stop dreaming about it and stop researching every aspect of it and reading all about it and debating the pros and cons of it. Just start doing it. Take that first step.
You missed me when I was flunking out of college. You didn't know me. You didn't know me when I had a severe stuttering problem. You didn't know me when I could not talk outside of my house. You didn't know that when I went to the store, I couldn't say it. When I went to school, I couldn't talk. You didn't know I was teased beyond belief because of this severe stuttering problem until I was 15. You missed me when I flunked out of college. You missed me when I was homeless and I lived in a car for 3 years. You missed all of that.
I was born in Miami, Florida, in an area called Liberty City, in an abandoned building on a hard linoleum floor with my twin brother.
So you turn your TV on now and you see me, you see, man, this dude is, look at him, he balling, he out of control, he got TV shows, he got money, look at him, he living, oh man, but you missed me. You missed me when I was getting here.
My mother got pregnant with me at 15 years old. I grew up on the east side of Atlanta in a neighborhood by the name of Kirkwood. Drugs, gangs, violence, you name it. And I came up in a 2-bedroom home, 14 people.
We were 6 weeks of age. We were adopted. When I was in 5th grade, I was identified as EMR, labeled, educable, mentally retarded, put back from the 5th grade into the 4th grade, and stayed in that category until I got out of high school. I don't have any college training.
And I used to sleep on the floor. My grandmother, Miss Daisy Johnson, she used to come to us and she would say, one night out of the week, you all get the opportunity to sleep in the bed. There was 5 more of my cousins in the bed, and so we slept 3 to the foot and 3 at the head.
It was hard when just over 3 years ago, in the Penobscot building in Detroit, Michigan, where I was operating my business, and I fell on some hard times, and I was sleeping in my office. And it was hard coming through the lobby. And sometimes they would laugh. There's a guy talking about becoming successful. And look at him. He's bathing in the bathroom upstairs on the 21st floor. He sleeps on the floor. It was hard, ladies and gentlemen, coming to speak to people. And I was facing financial difficulties in my own life. I was behind on my bills and my dreams, and I'm saying to them, you can live your dream. It was hard, ladies and gentlemen. It was very difficult to pick myself up each day believing that I could do it. There were times that I doubted myself.
And so as a kid, pretty quick, I had to make a decision of what I wanted to do with my life, because in that same house, I had 8 uncles, all 8 of which are still going in and out of prison till this day because they sold drugs and they were in gangs. And so I saw them selling drugs, but I also saw the outcome. And so I said, I'm not selling drugs. I'm not joining a gang because I see where that road leads to. Either I'm going to end up dead or in prison. I said, so my best bet may be to go to the NFL.
I said, God, why is this happening to me? I'm just trying to take care of my children and my mother. I'm not trying to steal or rob from anybody. Why did this have to happen to me? It was very hard. And here's what I want to say to you. For those of you that have experienced some hardships, don't give up on your dream. No one could have convinced me by holding on, by continuing to push forward, by continuing to run toward my dream, that one day I would have my own talk show. It's a long shot, ladies and gentlemen, from Liberty City, an abandoned building on a floor. Never knowing my mother or father. It's a long shot. Being here with you today in this dome in Atlanta, it's a long shot. No college training, labeled educable, mentally retarded, but I kept running toward my dream.
I want to go to the NFL. I feel our family deserves a better way of life. Let's work for it. And so every night we would go out and we would race light pole to light pole in Kirkwood. No shoes. Light pole to light pole every night. You see, most nights after practice, everybody would leave to go home, and I always had to sit in the park because my mother worked at Wendy's. And my mother didn't get off work till about 10 o'clock, 10:30 most nights, and I'll be sitting there in the park, and I loved it. I didn't want anybody to take me home because when I went home, I was sleeping on the floor with roaches and rats. And so anytime I got in solitude to dream, anytime I got in solitude to think about what I wanted to do for my family and my community, I took advantage of it. And so most nights, I'll be sitting there in the park, and I'll be looking up at the lights, and I'll be envisioning myself doing things in the NFL, envisioning myself doing things for my community. And just as the lights would always go out, my mother, she would pull up, and she used to drive an old Buick Regal. Hubcaps off the car, seats torn up, the car was all beat up. And she would pull up and she would put the car in park, and I would always hop up, I would run over to my mother, I would give her a hug and a kiss, and I would say, Mom, if you don't mind, can you please sit back in your car? I have to do some extra drills, I have to go to the NFL. She would never have to work another day in your life. And I knew she was tired. And every night my mother would say, sure, Ink, and she would sit back in that car, those car lights would hit that field, and here you had a 7-year-old kid doing backpedaling drills, running sprints, running laps, chasing his dream to go to the NFL.
My mom, for years, from the time I was 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, I never saw a woman take so much physical abuse than the way I've seen my mother beaten every freaking day of my life. And I'm helping her, but I can't help her because I'm not strong enough. I don't have the muscle to get these men off my mother. My mother's a very high yellow woman, and every time they hit her, she would bleed from her eyes. And she would walk around for days with sunglasses on in the house. And I said, Ma, I need a deck of cards. Last altercation we got in, my stepfather hit my mama so hard in the face. My stepfather hit my mama so hard in the face, I called her. And I looked at him with this rage and this pain in my eyes. Like one day. And I took this deck of cards. And I couldn't live in the house, so I had to live in the garage. And after this last altercation we had with this guy, I ran to my garage and I grabbed this deck of cards and I flipped a 7 and I started doing 7 push-ups. I flipped a 6, I did 6. I flipped a 9, I did 9. I flipped a 2, I did 2. I flipped another 9, I did 9 until I got all the way through the deck. Jack, Queen, King worked 10. Jack, Aces 25s and Jokers 50. Until I got sick and tired of what pain felt like in my gut. It didn't even matter to me no more because I started shuffling them all over again, and that's when I started doing my sit-ups. Because I wanted to make sure sports wasn't the reason why I started training. It was to make sure man never put his hands on my mama again. That's why I started doing what I started doing. Sports was a byproduct of what people started to see. It was the behind the scenes that was driving me crazy.
My father was very abusive, very, very abusive, okay? And I'm a big guy. My father was a big man. And I was a kid. My earliest memory of my father was him knocking my mother out, knocking her out. And I felt so helpless when I was a kid that I said, I will never be that helpless, ever. So I said, I got to get strong.
Inky Johnson, do you even think you're going to play at the University of Tennessee? He said, you're 135 pounds. I said, not only am I going to play, I'm going to start. I said, you made a mistake. I said, see, what you don't understand, and this is what most people do. They base judgment off of what they can see. But what they don't understand, the moments that make you who you are, the moments that they can't see. You see, anybody can be on their best behavior when somebody is standing over their shoulder, watching them, seeing if they're going to do what they're supposed to do. But what that reporter didn't see, you see, he could see I came from Crim High School. He could see I was 135 pounds. He could see I was 5'9". He could see all of the stats. He could see all of that. But what he never saw was when I was in the park with my mother when I was 7 years old. She was sitting at Buick Regal at 10:30 at night. What he didn't see was every Saturday morning at 5:30, I was up running 2 miles to a fire station and 2 miles back home. What he didn't see was every time I slept on that floor with ropes and racks with my cousins, I got up every morning, went to school, and never made one excuse. What he didn't see was on Christmas Eve, when a guy came through me and my cousin's window, he stuck a 9mm in a 45 in both our face and took all of our Christmas gifts, and we had to stand on the curb, and our mother told us, y'all just be great. He didn't see that. And those were the moments that made me who I am. And so now his opinion didn't matter. His opinion would never become my reality.
It's necessary to know that everybody won't see it, that everybody won't join you, that everybody won't have the vision, that a lot of people like to complain, but they don't want to do anything about their situation, that you are an uncommon breed. You have to know within yourself that I can do this. Even if no one else sees it for me, I must see it for myself.
So I have a challenge for every one of you this weekend. The challenge is simple. Ask yourself, am I practicing self-discipline in my life? Am I doing the things that I should do because I need to do them, or am I kind of waiting to feel the moment? Do like our friends Nike say, just do it.
I'm going across this slanting crack system that I started to have trouble with. My forearms started to engorge with blood and lactic acid, which means at some point, even if you're on a big hold, your hands are going to melt off. I'm about to fall. I'm 400 feet above the ground. But it should be okay because there's protection. I'm tied into the rope. I may take a fall, but I'll get caught. For some reason, and to this day I still don't know why, my brain triggered that I should look at my knot. And I looked down at my knot. My knot had come untied. It had come untied as I kept moving across. And it is just hanging in my harness. I'm seconds away from falling. Only now I will die. I will die if I fall off. And there was an old fixed piton in the rock that we put there from the first descent, an old soft iron piton. And I looked at it, and I probably had 15, 20 seconds before my hands would unwrap, if that, maybe 10. I took a runner, and I clipped it into the piton. I clipped the piton into my that runner into my harness, and just went, please hold. And I let go. It was very calm at that moment. When I got to the ledge, I went into convulsive shaking. I was sick to my stomach for days. What I learned from that is two things. The first is that when you're in an unforgiving world, and gravity is unforgiving, it doesn't care. It never takes a day off, ever. And if you make one mistake, it can kill you if it's the wrong kind of mistake. And what I learned is that sense of, yeah, I want to do adventurous things. I want to climb rocks. I want to be in Yosemite. I want to do things that get my adrenaline going. But I need the discipline to always do all the right preparation, to always think about the right knots, to always be cross-checking my system so that I can do those bold things and stay alive in an unforgiving environment. So I think we're all heading into an unforgiving environment where we're going to have to be both bold and disciplined. What if that piton had not been there? We might not be here together. It was just by chance that that piton was right there. And what you realize when you rewind the tape of your own life is that there are these crucial moments where if the luck had gone the other way, you might have gotten killed. And so what you have to do is to always be putting those extra disciplines in place, because I was lucky to live. And what I took from that is I never want to have to be lucky to live again. I want to live because of my discipline, not because of my luck.
I've never met a person who was not successful that didn't have a great amount of self-discipline within their life. Self-discipline and being able to perform and being able to keep your life on schedule and being able to keep commitments and promises and meet deadlines is essential to success. None of us can afford to have a life that is controlled by someone else, or a life that is basically controlled by our emotion. I learned many years ago that there are two kinds of people. There's the type of person who says, I'm going to wait till I feel like it before I do it. And then there's a person who says, I've got to do it so that I feel like it. One will never get anything done because they're still waiting to feel the moment to move. And the other person says, no, I need to move, and then I will begin to feel the moment. Sonia, self-discipline is essential in your life and in my life if we're going to get things done.
I always say that discipline is the root of all good qualities. But you have to absolutely apply it to things outside of just waking up early. It's everything. It's working out every day, making yourself stronger and faster and more flexible and healthier. Discipline is eating the right foods to fuel your system. It's about disciplining your emotions so you can make good decisions. It's about having the discipline to control your ego so your ego doesn't get out of hand and control you.
I think it was hard work. It was discipline. It was knowing that if this doesn't work out, then I will have to get a 9-to-5.
If you get up and you just have no discipline whatsoever, you get no value of anything. Diets don't work when you don't do them. Exercise doesn't work when you don't do them. But most of the people have some experiences that they want to shift. And once you shift those things, your whole life changes. But life is constant growth. My life isn't here because I went to one seminar one time and now my life is fit for life. I work out, I train my mind, I train my body, and it becomes a lifestyle. It's not just like you're depending upon somebody else. I'm not here to become somebody's guru. I'm not here to give them a gift. I'm here for them to open up their own gifts.
You can believe in something, but you can lose belief quite easily. So to be stronger in the bad moments, things like this.
It's about treating people the way you would want to be treated. And doing the tasks that you don't necessarily want to do, but that you know will help you or help your team. about facing your fears. It takes discipline to face your fears so you can conquer them. And that's what discipline is. Discipline means taking the hard road, the uphill road, to do what's right for yourself and for other people. It's so often the easy path that calls to us to be weak for that moment, to break down for that moment, to give in to the desire and the short-term gratification. But the discipline will not allow that. The discipline calls for strength and fortitude and will. It won't accept weakness. It won't tolerate another breakdown. The discipline can seem like it's your worst enemy. But the reality is, discipline is your best friend. It will take care of you like nothing else can. And it'll put you on that path. The path to strength and health and intelligence and happiness. And most importantly, it'll put you on that path.
There's also people here who are a little dishonest about what they really want to be. And I think if you want to be famous, just come out and say it. If you only recognize success as a record deal and a big fat Publishers Clearinghouse oversized Tiger Woods check and a dinner and then going to the top of the roof and screaming, "I made it!" Most of you will be stunning failures. Don't say, "I want to be indie. I'm just going to be an independent artist," and really secretly wish that you wanted to be a pop star. What's going to be a hit, or what stands the chance of being a hit, and what just doesn't. And it's a level of honesty with yourself that you have to have before you hand your music out to anybody else.
Define success for yourself. Figure out what that means to you. Don't get taken over by the world's definition of success or your family's or what your friends are doing or what anyone says that equals success. Once you can get clear on that vision, then you need to create a plan to make that come to life.
Define success for yourself. We've all got two wolves in us. A good one and a bad one. And they both want to eat.
We're not different. I was you. I sat there watching other people's stuff. And I just got to a place where I was like, why them? Why not me?
I hear so many people from every walk of life. How do I make all of this happen? And I think that we all need to take a few steps back.
What do you call success? Most people never dare to evaluate really where they are.
And start to get clear on our own vision for success, and then actually prioritize making that come to life, because then it gives you such clarity and such freedom, and all of that static and the overwhelm starts to fall away.
This is my life's work. What I do here is my life's work. It will define me.
Me, because that was me 20 years ago going, how do I get from here to there?
So think about, what would you be so passionate about doing that you'd be happy doing it for 10 years, even if you never made a dime from it? I like to say, chase the vision, not the money.
To show them how simple it is, to show them that their voice is their currency. The thing that you have to say, that special thing, that story you have to tell, nobody else can tell. Why not me? Like, they're doing it. Like, what's the difference? Here are your blueprints. Go, do what I did because it rocks.
You can't expect a bunch of people out there to believe you are this thing unless you be this thing yourself. It all begins kind of with you.
Money is king today. It's what makes the world go round. It is success. The more we have, the more successful we are, right? So the question that we got to ask ourselves is, what success is to us? What success is to you? Is it more money? That's fine. I got nothing against money. I don't.
If he had friends and peace of mind and good family relationship and the hope that the future's going to be better, he said, I'd consider that man as successful.
If you try using your own voice, you try expressing your own thoughts that nobody else can do, that's your best shot at success. Because that's the thing that you bring to the table that nobody else could bring. But always shoot for that thing that you want to do.
Maybe it's a healthy family. Maybe it's a happy marriage. Maybe it's to help others, to be famous, to be spiritually sound, to leave the world a little bit better place than you found it. Continue to ask yourself that question. Now, your answer may change over time, and that's fine. But do yourself this favor. Whatever your answer is, don't choose anything that will jeopardize your soul. Prioritize who you are, who you want to be, and don't spend time with anything that antagonizes your character. Be brave, take the hill, but first answer that question, what's my hill?
And if you're looking at somebody else's work to try to gauge your own, as I have for years, you will constantly feel like a failure. Your voice is your only currency in this life. That's all you got. The things you see and perceive, the prism through which you process all the information that you take in, that's it. You're the most unique supercomputer on the planet, unique from everybody else. That perspective is valuable, insanely valuable, because nobody else can give it but you.
So first, we have to define success for ourselves. And then we have to put in the work to maintain it. Take that daily tally. Tend our garden. Keep the things that are important to us in good shape.
And you got to know where you are before you can really determine your chances of getting what you really want out of life.
Up until now, you've attracted the things to you because of the person you've become. Not get things out there to change. Don't try to change the seed. Don't change the soil. Don't change the sunshine. Don't change the rain. Don't change the mix of seasons. And start working on the inside. Work on your philosophy. Work on your attitude. Work on your personality. Work on your language. Work on the gift of communication. Work on all of your abilities. And if you'll start making those personal changes, I'm telling you, everything will change for you.
When other folk are having a good time, you've got to have the strength of character to concentrate, to read, to digest information.
We've all got two wolves in us. A good one and a bad one. And they both want to eat. The best I can tell, we just got to feed that good one a little more than the other one.